Salutations fam, this is Dark Story from Haltessiagaming, and in today's video we've got some replays from post Power of the Elements format. We're going to be showcasing my new build of the Branded Blue-Eyes deck versus some of the decks from the new format. We've got Sprite, that's going to have 2 matches against Sprite and 2 matches against the new P.U.N.K Synchro deck with their new support out of Power of the Elements, and basically showcasing the decks that I have faced the most of out of the new format. I've played like 2 matches against Tier. I played like 2 matches against Tier last week. I played mostly P.U.N.K and Sprite. Those were the main ones from the new format that I was seeing a lot of. So yeah, we're going to start off with a match against Sprite. I'm going to have 2 matches against each deck, one where I win the die roll and one where I lose the die roll. And yeah, without further ado, let's hop right into it and showcase the decks. I'll pause to talk about the plays as it becomes relevant, but you know, we're just gonna hop right into it. So yeah, Sprite's pretty crazy combo deck. They basically, you know, do the whole gigantic Sprite. They're typically going to end on like Toad, Elf, and then like whatever of the main deck monsters they're able to get to with like follow up for next turn. So I do that to kind of like force out the one of the negates, because if they let it go through, you just kind of hit over stuff. And then they get 2 Toad negates because they get to force out, they get to revive the Toad, so they get a second negate from it. Utilizing the floodgates, I'm able to kind of break the board. So just want to kind of talk about that really quick. So I'm main decking floodgates instead of like hand traps, because obviously like going first, if you draw these, a lot of time they are free wins, but going second they are also still very strong because the specific floodgates that I'm playing break boards as well. So like with something like TCG, they can't, you know, keep their established board because, you know, they can only have 1 Thunder and all the sprites are Thunders. And then they also can't make Toad again because Toad requires 2 Aquas and they can only control 1 Aqua. So having this, you know, be flipped up really does kind of like break their board a lot of the time. And Gozen Match does a similar thing, because you'll notice like, you know, they have some Darks, some Fires, and some Waters, and then, you know, not to mention all the extra deck plays and things like that. These particular floodgates are ones that you can flip up going second and it breaks the board. So it's like, that's one of the reasons why I'm main decking floodgates. And going back to the fleur-de-lis play, they kind of have to stop this, because if they let it go through, you just get to hit over their stuff, and it's, you know, pretty impactful. But this only really works if they're not playing dupe. I've noticed a lot of people are not playing dupe frog. I assumed that dupe frog was like a pretty core part of the strategy, but like in the past week when I was playing in tournament, I noticed that nobody was playing dupe. Now that I think about it, like I actually don't think any of the Sprite players at the top tables were playing dupe frog, so that was just something to keep in mind. But moving on with the replay. Oh yeah, that's one of the things about Toad that's so broke. They get to like take your stuff and then use it. So yeah, they're going to dig, because, you know, I've got them under Gozen Skill Drain. I'm gonna just wall up and play. We've turned it into a goat format match, just poking them for 18 every turn. And eventually they're able to overlay into a 1900 monster, and they hit over, get a Downer Magician, and we super poly, and then, well, that's kind of the end of the game. But yeah, I'm main decking super poly this format because I personally feel that, like, you know, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not playing hand traps. I'm just playing like the strong board breaker stuff. I feel as though like the 1-for-1 trade hand traps are just not like effective enough because you need so many of them to really have an impact against these crazy combo decks. We get the Dark Ruler, and we're able to just kind of pop off. And unfortunately, it's funny because I don't think I ever get to show like the Blue Eyes half of the deck because I think if I'm not mistaken, it gets stopped like literally every single time. Um, but the play is basically that like you go Branded Fusion, you send your Blue Eye stuff, and the Stone of Legend allows you to just like keep your Albaz engine in rotation without like giving up any card advantage. And if you have like access to like Stone of Ancients, you just have the Jet Dragon online like right there. But like I haven't been able to do it because every single time I go for Branded Fusion, they have something that stops it, and it's just like, bro, come on. I'm just trying to like showcase the Blue Eyes half of the deck, but it's like it gets stopped every time. But moving on to the replay, that was the replay where I lost the die roll, and now we're going to showcase the replay where I win the die roll. So now we're on to the next match. This is going to be the one where I end up winning the die roll. And funnily enough, I want to say like sometimes you do kind of like have a better shot going second because of that extra card. And like the fact that you're like maining, but it's like you're maining like Super Poly, but it's like going second like it's still very strong, as you just saw, but like going first is still obviously very strong, but it's just like you're less likely to see the like auto win cards going first, and it's like you can play through hand traps, but it's like it's fine. You'll notice that this list has 43 cards. I made like one slight change, and I think one of them was to like just throw in like literally one hand trap, which was the I think like the 3 imperms. But I was just like, I'll just throw in a hand trap. That because it's like you want to have something to like turn off Barrier Statue or like turn off Archlord Christia and things like that. And it's like it's still a hand trap, but it's one that you can utilize going second if you draw it as the 6th card as well. So threw that in there. But showcasing the next match against Sprite. I'll kind of like talk about like the matchup as a whole afterwards. Sometimes you're just good and we never get to do this, dang it. It's like it's fine. We finally got Jet Dragon. Sheesh. I think that's the end of the game. That's the end of the game. Oh my god. Jet Dragon plus Floodgates. Yeah, it's pretty strong. But that's more reminiscent of what the deck was actually playing it in tournaments. Was like you would just flip up Floodgates, summon Jet Dragon, and say go ahead. And like the thing about like Yu-Gi-Oh when you have the Floodgates up is that it just becomes a matter of who can maintain the most board presence. And like when Jet Dragon is live, it's so difficult to like beat. Because like the Jet Dragon just keeps coming back. If they like every time they out it, like it just comes back. And it can also just technically deal with anything bigger than it because it has that effect to like bounce. And because it can trigger its effects in the damage step, it's like it plays around so much stuff. I can't tell you how many times I would like crash over something or like hit over something or like crash into something and go Jet Dragon effect. And they would try to crow it, and then I would have to tell them, like, you cannot activate crow because crow cannot be activated in damage step. And then I would just get to put my Jet Dragon on board for free. Or, like, I would swing into stuff, and then they'd try to flip up Imperm, and then I'd be like, you cannot activate Imperm. This is triggering in damage step. So it's like, if your opponent doesn't know, like, that they can't chain to it and that they have to hit it preemptively, then like you can just get away with murder a lot of the times. Like it's so free. But yeah, it's like Jet Dragon alone plus Floodgates, like it like when you have the Floodgates up, a lot of times even if you just have Jet Dragon, even if you don't have like the Dogmatica stuff, it's so easy to just take over the game. But moving on Deep Sea Diva. Wumbo, wumbo, wumbo. Sheesh. The totally modally. And they got the follow-up for next turn. Prosperity. How unfortunate. Super Poly too strong, bro. FD. Get DPE. Now, there was like a couple of sequencing errors where we like hit the wrong thing. And those just get corrected. But the reason why I didn't summon off of the Stone of Ancients is because I'm locked into by Fusion Destiny. But it's like it's fine. We have the punishment. We pop their stuff. They have the starter. I popped the reason why I used the DP to pop the Stone of Ancients is because I didn't want them to get access to my prosperity to dig for 6, so they could like dig into extenders. The punishment shuts down the Deep Sea Diva, and they have the Sprite started to get another 2, but we're gonna take care of that with DPE, and I think that ends the game. I think. Not 100% sure. Yeah. And sheesh. Do we lose this one? Maybe. I think we might lose this one. The board got broke. Yep. Have the ha 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 ha. Wow. It bees like that sometimes. It do be like that sometimes. Yeah, that's gonna be the end of that one. Fallen Albaz effect is good. It's like, so naturally against like a deck like this, you would want to have a spell trap negate over a monster negate. And 9 times out of 10, that would be the correct play. But sometimes, you do draw the Fallen of Albaz. You just get access to it anyway. And that just breaks the whole board. And I think I had like a Nadir or something. Did I get ashed? Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, why didn't I? So basically, I activated Nadir, got ashed on Nadir, but I sent the Titaniclad with the Mirror Jade. So it's like even if I don't actually kill them, it's like I have, the Dogmatica engine in rotation. So it's like the game's pretty much over. I'm pretty sure they didn't draw like. What did they draw? Yeah, they drew an effect failure, so it was just game after that. So yeah, that's the Sprite matchup. Pretty much it going second. If you see any of the like, your floodgates or your like board breakers, like Super Poly's just really, really strong in that matchup because it takes care of the if they have like one of the main deck negates on board plus like the Sprite Elf that deals with 2 negates and gives you like a monster that like trades for itself. Like if it goes to grave, the Garura draws you a card, so that's pretty strong. And so at that point they just have like the Toad, and it's like it's a lot easier for your deck to play through like one interruption. Because one of the things I noticed like throughout like play testing this deck a lot was that I noticed that very consistently I was able to play through the board. And like a couple of things, I noticed that hand traps weren't very impactful in the matchup, so that's why I ended up cutting the hand traps. I noticed that very consistently, even without like Super Poly or like the going second cards, you were able to still play through the board, but it's just that you weren't able to like stop their crackback. And like that's one of the reasons why I opted to put in the floodgates, because you'll be able to just trade your hand with their board, break their board, and then like set a floodgate and then flip it up on their turn, and then like that breaks whatever board they have left, and it prevents them from like rebuilding their board. So that if you can establish any kind of board presence, you usually will win the game. Um, and obviously, like Dark Ruler and Super Poly, just like they just destroy the matchup. Like Super Poly, especially, just super strong against this deck because of the existence of Garura. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't originally think that Super Poly would be that strong, and why originally I wasn't playing it, but just like noticing how consistently they do end on a board that you can Super Poly, because it wasn't showcased in these matches because I think like both times they didn't have access to a monster they could summon off of Toad to like get the extra frog. But like if they put like let's say they're playing like Dupe Frog, you can actually super poly the Toad and the Dupe Frog to make Gurura as well. But like most of the time I'm going to be super polying the Sprite Elf and like one of the like either Carrot or Red, and like whenever you get to do that, it's just so impactful. Um, yeah, and it's just like obviously like going first. Like if you flip up a floodgate, it's just like the end of the game. But even like without seeing the floodgates, Mirror Jade plus Punishment or Mirror Jade plus DPE is just like game-endingly strong. Or like any of the your boss monsters plus floodgates just wins you the game against this deck because they have to see like Diva plus like Swap Frog or something to consistently play through that, and it's just like they can't really do that very consistently. Yeah. So that's pretty much the Sprite matchup. If they full combo and like your hand is weak, because that's pretty much how you're gonna lose. It's like if you draw like a bunch of the Garnets, like you lose. Like if you draw like Celestial plus like Blue Eyes White Dragon, like you're probably gonna lose that game. But it's like if you have like your starters and your hand is actually playable, like very consistently, yeah, I did notice you were able to just chew right through the board, and like setting a floodgate after you break the board is just it's very easy to just take over the game from there. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go into the Punk matchup now. So like I mentioned earlier, gonna have two matches with this deck. It's going to be one where you lose the die roll and one where you win the die roll. Going to show the one where you lose the die roll first. I have to say, the Punk Synchro deck is, like, crazy, bro. Like, it's so crazy. Because the deck is just, like, it's one of those crazy combo decks that just gets to also play, like, 18 hand traps. And it's like, oh, man. Every single game I've played this deck, but also played against this deck, they draw like 2-3 hand traps every single time plus engine. Like it's so crazy. But yeah, gonna hop right into it, showcase the matchup, and as I did with the other matchup, I'll pause whenever I feel it's necessary to talk about like interactions and things like that. So this field spell is so crazy because they get to just like constantly draw. Oh, I just gotta talk about that interaction right there. So I imperm this because, like, realistically, there's not really many places where you can, like, imperm and it's very impactful. I impermed hoping to, like, end the turn, but then they drew the Foxy Tune off of the field spell anyway, so it just literally didn't do anything. I do kind of wonder if it's not better to just, like, maybe it's better to save it for Hulk. It's probably best to save the imperm for Hulk. I'm not really sure where the best place to imperm this deck is, to be honest, because like it's probably Hulk now I think about it, because that's probably the only thing where it's just like they can't really just have it. But even then, they kind of can still just have it, because if they draw the Shinobi and they like Foxy Tune, they can get it in graveyard anyway. So it's like, it's probably best to hit Hulk, but like they can kind of play through wherever you hand trap if it's not like a crazy turn ending hand trap. But yeah, all the power levels, and we got Chaos Ruler, the Deer Note play, and it's just they get to just add hand traps and draw hand traps. And then so I want to talk about this right here, actually, because this is one of the new things about the deck post Power of the Elements, and they actually play Sprite Elf. So basically what you can do is you can go Hulk, Summon Shinobi, link them both off for Sprite Elf, and that puts your Shinobi Necro in the graveyard to banish off Chaos Ruler. And then, like, you can Sprite Elf to special back, like, Gammas and things like that. But the important thing about this is during your opponent's turn, you can go Sprite Elf. Like, you know, once they put a monster on board, you can Sprite Elf, bring back the Hulk, tag out for Formula Synchron to, like, draw a card. Or you can, like, if you don't have access to Gizmek Orochi, right? If you don't have access to Gizmek Orochi, you can Sprite Elf. I mean, you can do the same thing, but with Hulk, you can tag out for Desert Locust to, like, rip a card out of your opponent's hand. And it's pretty crazy. But, like, with the Shinobi Necro, you get to, like, banish this off Chaos Ruler. And then, because this got banished, it special summons itself. So, this is the level 2 tuner, and then Chaos Ruler, and you just have Baron right there. And it's pretty crazy. And then Synchro for Baron. Bring back the Gizmek Orochi, so that's his live. Bring this back, do all this. Formula, effect to draw, formula, effect to synchro. Gonna Super Poly to interrupt that. So what would have happened there is they would have summoned Changing, and that's why you summon the Gizmek Orochi on your turn. So during your opponent's turn, you synchro into Changing. And then, like, the Gizmek Orochi can trigger the Changing at any point during their turn just by, like, special summoning itself. And then, like, you also have the Baron negate. So it's, like, in addition to, like, the P.U.N.K trap against Sprite, the P.U.N.K Synchro deck is just so strong. Because it's, like, the P.U.N.K trap pops their, you know, their monsters. So, like, because, you know, Sprite has to have, like, a 2 on board to be able to start special summoning. So you have the Changing that can just banish stuff at any point, and you have the trap that can just pop stuff at any point. And then you also have the Baron negate, and then there's the 8 billion hand traps that they have, which is just crazy. It's like I have the Super Poly to stop the Changing from coming out, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I'm pretty sure, like, they have hand traps, and so it's just like I get shut down. And they just pop the goes in, like, hit over or something. But it's like, it really just doesn't even matter. And it's just, and then, like, again, every time they do stuff, they get to just, like, keep drawing, and it's just, like, yeah. Gonna go ahead and make the, this. Special back the, this. Synchro off for Psychic End Punisher. So, to kind of explain what just happened here. So, this field spell allows them, in addition to, like, constantly drawing them cards, it also gets a special summon P.U.N.K from hand. So, like, they synchroed into the Jam Drive, activated the effect to search a Xiamen, which triggered the field spell to draw another card, then activate the effect to special the Xiamen, and then the Deer Note that was used to make this specials back the Rising Carp. They synchro both off for Psychic End Punisher, triggering the Xiamen and the Rising Carp to target the this to both give it an extra 600 attack and give it the ability to attack twice. This, well, Psychic End Punisher is, like, ridiculously huge right now, because it's not just like if you're, it gains life points equal to the difference even if you're, like, lower. It's just the difference is just while they're lower, it's just not unaffected. So this is, like, stupidly huge. This can attack twice, and it's 3,300, I think. It's 3,300, can attack twice. This is stupidly huge. And then it's just, like, they have OTK right here. And that's going to be in the end of that game. So, into game 2, I'm going to go first. We're going to lead with a Prosperity. We have a okay hand. It's, like, kind of, the Prosperity wasn't crazy. Gonna Fusion Destiny, get DPE. Nadir, gonna go ahead and not send the Garura because, you know, Prosperity can't draw. Gonna try to get the hold on, let me stop and break down this interaction. So what ends up happening here is I normally Ecclesia activate the effect. So the interaction, right? Fusion Destiny stops you from special summoning monsters except for Dark Heroes after you activate it, but it doesn't stop you from normal summoning. So that's why you can, you know, Nadir, get Ecclesia, and then normal summon Ecclesia to do that effect. And then basically what happens is they imperm the Ecclesia, I chain the DPE, pop my Ecclesia and the Imperm, so the Ecclesia is not on board to get negated. And then the Ecclesia resolves. I get the Fleur-de-Lis, and I'm pretty sure I had the punishment in hand already. I can't remember, but I'm going to send the Albion to set up the the Branded Fusion play next turn. But yeah, that's basically explaining like what happened there. So that gets gammaed actually. So I do not get a Branded Fusion afterwards, and then we just get Lightning Stormed and it sucks. We decide to pop it before it goes through, hoping that ends the turn. It does end the turn. We get to activate Engage, basically. So that's one of the things I like about Garura as well, is in addition to being a super poly target, it's also just a Nadir send. And it has 1500, so you can go Nadir, send Garura, search Ecclesia, and then draw a card like Engage. It's pretty crazy. Gonna normal this. Gonna get access to our Branded Fusion anyway. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put game on board, and that's the end of that game. And now we're going to move into game number 3. I'm pretty sure the only hand trap we play is in turn. We ain't draw it, but it's fine because like this deck is focused on breaking boards rather than like preventing them from being built. So ignore this. Ignore this whole sequence. Yeah, they're going for the Chaos Ruler, and then they add the Ogre Dance. Get this. H.U.N.K. Get the all that Chaos Ruler. Get the Baron. Have the trap with the trying to remember what happened. Oh, I remember. Okay, so to kind of explain what happened there. Instead of using the Ogre Dance to search, we use the Ogre Dance ability to special summon, so that you still have access to the Changing play, even though you don't have the Gizmek Orochi. You can't trigger it, but Changing is still strong. And like you have the Baron plus Changing and then like anti-spell. So yeah, continuing, gonna make Changing. Normal Fall on the Valbass, that gets negated. Enter battle phase, evenly matched. So to just kind of talk about it for a second, what happened there is I threatened to enter battle phase, and obviously if you go battle phase, you can't activate the H.U.N.K. Which is why they can, well, actually you can, but basically attempt to leave phase, so you get to go ahead and just use H.U.N.K. there, make the Chain Ying. You're not really worried about it because you have the Baron to negate the evenly, but because they did the H.U.N.K. play, I stayed in main phase, and then just use the normal summon to Fallen Valbaz to force out the Baron de Fleur and then evenly match them. And then went to battle phase, used my battle phase to evenly them, and then activate Fusion Destiny, and get access to the DPE. Now the part that sucks, they have like triple Crow or something like that. So yeah. Then we flip up goes in, shuts down their play. They have a second BB Crow. They're able to banish more stuff. Hit us for a huge chunk of damage. Gonna go ahead and get the Fleur-de-Lis. They're going to Crow us before we get to do that. And then we just, do this, crash. And then we just kind of hit them, poke them to death. So to explain what happened earlier in the turn, basically what happened was I had double Ecclesia. So Flora was going to be able to negate and get rid of the Changing anyway. But P.U.N.K. triggers the Changing before I can summon the second Ecclesia. Because, basically, they want to be able to use the Chen-King to, like, banish resources so they don't take as much damage, I think. Like, I think they were dead. They were either dead or they, like, took way more damage. And so, like, they got value out of the Chen-King because they were going to lose it anyway. And then, we draw this because we're hoping to hit, like, any extra monster. And we hit another Ecclesia, which is the end of the game. Because, we normally... Because we know they search the field spell searcher, hit over it, and that's the end of the game there. Yeah. And now we're gonna showcase the other match where we win the die roll. And now this is gonna be the final replay of this video. Gonna be showcasing another match against P.U.N.K Synchro. As I mentioned, the deck is pretty crazy. Can make some pretty crazy boards. I'm going to be going first. Going to start with an instant fusion. Going to normal this. So, I want to just kind of explain this scenario real quick. I opted to let the Valor resolve because I was hoping to draw into Branded Fusion off of the tactics. Or, like, you know, any of, like, my spell starters. And have the Millennium Eyes restrict live for a potential DD Crow. Because I've gotten DD Crow, I got DD Crow 3 times in the last match. And basically I'm just like asking myself which do I care about happening or getting stopped more. I don't really care if like Kit gets stopped so long as I get to keep my engine in rotation. And so, like, that's why I opted to, like, you know, save for the DD Crow. But I didn't draw into Branded Fusion, so I ended up just, like, setting 2 and passing. But, you know, hindsight 2020. Imperm. That's one thing about this deck that sucks is, like, you can have the stuff to stop them. So, interesting thing about this here is that when, like, the field spell's so crazy because it's just, like, you can stop their plays, like stop their searches, and they can just draw what they need anyway, and it just doesn't matter. I put them under Gozen match. So I recognize now that this was misplaced, so I flipped up a Gozen match so they couldn't get access to the Chaos Ruler. But in hindsight, I probably should have let them gotten to Chaos Ruler and then just Gozen when they summoned Chaos Ruler. Because, you know, they summon Chaos Ruler. If they do summon the Chaos Ruler, then they're locked into darks and they can't really summon any other monster. They're just kind of stuck into the Chaos Ruler. By flipping it up when they're on Earth, they're able to just kind of play through the Gozen match. So that was a mistake on my part. As you can see, they can kind of just play through this with little issue. Yeah. Pick up a floor. So you might be wondering like why they didn't pop the Gozen. So the thing is, I'm also stuck under Gozen, and they can hit over this floor. Gozen hinders me quite a bit, but like because they have all these earths, they're kind of fine under Gozen, so they're not really that impeded by it. And I can't really do much with just floor, which can't even like hit over this. So that's why they opted to pop the Ecclesia instead of the floor. Because I can't really hit over most of their stuff. So they're going to go ahead and just kind of like continue to pop off. Get more board presence, get more stuff. And it's fine because I top decked a Luber, went Branded Fusion. And as I mentioned, this always gets shut down, and we summon the Starving Venom, get really big, and hit them for game out of nowhere. So it's like we should have lost because we flipped up Gozen too early, but it's fine because, you know, we just went off of Starving Venom anyway. So yeah, gonna be able to just kind of pop off, get access to that crazy field spell, go Chaos Ruler. And they also have the Gizmek Orochi in rotation. They just kind of have everything. Summon the Gizmek Orochi. Summon the P.U.N.K. We Dark Ruler them. Dark Ruler Evenly. Too strong. We opt to keep. They opt to keep the back row. My prosperity was very unfortunate. I just figured I just opted to just take a imperm, activate Branded Fusion. I was like, does it actually resolve? It never gets the resolve. It never gets the resolve. I want to showcase the Blue-Eyes play, but it gets stopped like literally every time. They hit the imperm. They're able to summon back the Gizmek Orochi and hit over. Well, attempt to, but then okay. So to explain what, yeah. Let me get some water real quick. Give me a sec. So to explain what happened there, I punishment sent the Abelonatus. Hold up. So to explain what happened there, I activated punishment to pop the Gizmek Orochi, sending Abelonatus. I can't activate the Fusion Destiny next turn, but I will have it to like kind of give that sense of inevitability. They crow it so that I don't get that search. And but it's fine because we just, you know, we just kind of poke them for damage. And we poke them for damage, and they're just kind of sitting behind stuff. They flip up the anti-spell. It's fine, because we just kind of hit over everything. They can, like, they can activate the Gizmek Orochi, but it doesn't matter, because they have exactly 8 cards in deck. They can summon the Gizmek Orochi. They don't die this turn, but then they lose the deck out, so it doesn't matter. And that's the end of that one. The P.U.N.K matchup is... I'm not gonna lie, this one's a lot more dependent on you seeing like before you have access to your sideboard cards. This matchup is really hard. Like, this matchup's really hard to win game 1. You have to like win the die roll, or you're probably going to lose game 1 against this deck. That's just how it is. Like, this deck is very, very, very strong going first. Their board is very, very strong, and it's like you're just not really equipped to like beat this deck going first unless you draw Dark Ruler. But the deck is still very good in the matchup because, you know, post side you have a much better matchup, but it's just game 1 you're probably going to lose against this deck if they go first. But yeah, that's going to be it. I'm probably gonna, you know, do a deck profile for this deck later on in the week. Maybe try to get, you know, some tournament live duels as well. That's going to be it for this video. This has been Darkslayer Arim from Haltessiagaming. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like, leave a comment, share it with your friends. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.